Let's see about June 2022 news, Indian Express news articles. First, I need to study about Raj Sabha in Lakshmikant. Next article is related to industrial production growth at 8-month high, that is 7.1% in April. Despite a high base, powered mainly by higher electricity and mining output, according to a data released by Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Index of industrial production had grown 2.2% in March 2022. Next article that we are moving into is related to new policy. UP removes 60-year age bar for release of lifetime prisoners. Making an amendment to its present policy, Uttar Pradesh government has decided to consider the premature release of lifetime prisoners even below 60 years of age. Under new policy, the state government would consider the release of inmate sentenced to life imprisonment for an offence like murder only after he has completed a jail term of 16 years without remission or 20 years with remission. UP Director General Professor Anand Kumar said new policy would benefit a large number of convicts facing life term and that it would help decongest crowded jails across the state. Similarly, the new policy also make it mandatory that the cases against such prisoners should not fall under the category of heinous crimes like terror, waging war against the state. The investigation of these cases should not be done by central agencies and convicts should not have been booked under central law. The inmates convicted for life terms by a court of other states will also not covered by this new policy. And the state government has also put a clause that release proposal committee which will decide on the premature release of life-term convicts may cancel the release of inmate if it is found to cause any law and order problem. Next article is the past decade saw an increase in number of women voters. The professor added that gender gap in electoral politics in the country has been declining since over the past 70 years. He said till 2010 the number of women voters was less than men, while in 2019 general election men and women voted nearly equal numbers. In Uttar Pradesh, in both 2017 as well as 2022 state election, women voters overstripped, that is overtaken, meaning overtake the men. Next article is related to for newborn girls initiative to get all key certificates at hospital itself. First beneficiary of Nanhi Pari program launched on Friday by Northwest Delhi District Administration. The program aims to complete the essential services such as provision of birth certificate, Aadhaar registration, opening a bank account for girls delivered in government hospital in a district before mother and baby discharge. Additionally, it also aims to get the registration for the schemes for girl children and mother such as Sukanya Samriddhi account scheme, Delhi scheme, Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana done at the hospital itself. One-stop solution so that parents won't have to go here and there trying to avail essential schemes. The basic aim of the most of these schemes is to protect the birth of girl child and to facilitate a safe environment, safe and secure environment and education for her. Next article is related to with a focus on kids, government curb misleading ads, prohibits surrogate advertisement. An advertisement for junk foods including chips, carbonated beverages and such other snacks and drinks shall not be advertised through program meant for children or on channel meant for exclusively for children, say new guidelines notified by Center to Curb the Misleading Advertisement. And also under section 2 clause 28 of the Consumer Protection Act 2019, misleading advertisement falsely describes a product or services or gives a false guarantee are likely to mislead the consumer as to the nature, substance, and quantity and quality of the product or service, or conveys an express or implied representation which, if made by manufacturer or seller or service provider, would constitute an unfair trade practice or deliberately conceals the important information. No surrogate advertisement or indirect advertisement shall be good for made for goods and services whose advertising is otherwise prohibited or restricted by law. No surrogate advertisement or indirect advertisement shall be made for goods or service whose advertising is otherwise prohibited or restricted by law. Okay. Next article that we are moving into is related to India's first COVID-19 vaccine for animals. Why the need was felt. Agriculture Ministry on Thursday unveiled the India's first COVID-19 vaccine for animals. Developed by Hisar-based National Research Center on Equines, the vaccine called Ancovax can protect the animals against Delta Omicron variant of SARS-CoV-2. Ancovax can be used in dogs, lions, leopard, mice, and rabbits. It is an inactivated vaccine developed using an infectious part of the Delta variant. In addition, it uses L-hydrogel as an adjuvant to boost the immune response. The aim of the vaccine is to protect an endangered animals such as lion and tigers. Aim of the vaccine is to protect the endangered animals such as lion and tigers. India reported at least 9 COVID infection in Asiatic lions in Chennai Zoo. Next article is related to Chelonoidis fantasticus. A giant tortoise found alive in 2019 has been confirmed to belong to Galapagos species long believed extinct, named Fernanda after her Fernandina Island home. The tortoise is the first of her species, Chelonoidis fantasticus, to be identified in more than a century. Chelonoidis fantasticus means fantastic giant tortoise, commonly called Fernandina Island Galapagos giant tortoise. Although Fernanda was found on the Fernandina Island itself, although the tortoises can't swim from one island to another, they can be carried from one Galapagos in island to another during major storms. Next article is related to environment index and India. India has questioned its bottom ranking among 180 countries of environmental performance index. Who calculates this index, how and what the issue has flagged, and how real are environmental concerns. Newly released Environmental Performance Index 2022 measured by Yale and Colombo University ranks India at the bottom position among the 180 countries. Environmental Performance Index is an international ranking system of countries based on their environmental health. It is a biennial index. First started in 2002 as Environmental Sustainability Index by World Economic Forum in collaboration with Yale Center for Environmental Law and Policy and Colombo University Center for International Earth Information Network. Environmental Performance Index 2022 uses 40 performance indicators to assess rank of 180 countries. How poor is Environmental Performance Index assessment of India? With a rank of 180 and a score of 18.9, India has fallen rank from 168 countries and a score of 27.6 in 2020. India comes after China, Bangladesh, Vietnam, Myanmar. The poor performance, Denmark tops the list with a score of 77.9. Okay. Next is Sant Tukaram Temple and its significance. What the article talks about is on Tuesday, PM Modi will inaugurate the Sant Tukaram Shila Mandir in the temple town of Dehu, Pune district. Shila refers to Shila Mandir. Shila refers to a rock that is currently on the Dehu Sansthan temple premises. Shila Mandir, the Bhakti saint Tukaram had sat on this piece of rock for 13 continuous days when challenged about the authenticity of abhyangs he had written. The rock used to covered by silver cast with an image of Saint Tukaram, and devotees would pay obeisance. Varkari sect. Saint Tukaram and his works are central to Varkari sect spread across Maharashtra. This message about a casteless society and his denial of rituals has led to a social movement. Saint Tukaram is credited with starting the Vari pilgrimage. Next article that we are moving into is related to Guru against Shishya. This is all about sexual harassment faced by a Indian cyclist. The article talks about this only. For me, that's about enjoyment as much as winning. But when young athletes are sexually harassed, basic safety becomes a big concern. What happened in US gymnastics with Simone Biles and other top gymnasts shook me to the core. On one hand, we are encouraging more girls to go out and become sportswomen. On other hand, instances like one involving the alleged harassment of a young cyclist by national coach can make parents reconsider their daughter's participation in sport. What has changed now is that athletes have more of a voice, they are more aware, and there is a greater conversation about women in sports. Trainees shift out of their homes when still young. There is a homesickness and performance pressure, extensive travel for training and competitions. While we encouraging girls to participate in sports, we must remember that their dignity is more important than everything else. We must educate them about what is okay and what isn't. Next step is empower them to speak out and when they feel uncomfortable about anyone during training or on the field. Finally, they must provide with an adequate redressal mechanism. Even then, young women might win the battle but lose the war. The offenders might have some level of action taken against them, but it is our duty to ensure that in long term complaining does not affect the sportsperson's career. They were almost always very young. How will they know what is to be done? Those dealing with these young athletes need to be sensitized against casual body shaming or saying inappropriate things. I understand that at times such gestures can be unintentional, but that does not make them acceptable. Trust is all important in creating champions. Sport is by large an unorganized sector. Punishment for such offenders needs to be discussed. Dismissal of offending coach, physiotherapist, or official is what institutions usually do, even where more legal action is necessary. But the legal cost can be debilitating in case. Debilitating in cases that later course of action is adopted. A speedy resolution of such cases is imperative. Next article that we are moving into is related to building on common ground. Indo-Pacific Economic Framework is all about this continuation of the articles that is happening in the last week. On May 23, Indo-Pacific Economic framework was launched by Joe Biden's administration. That is what the articles talks about. Presents opportunities, also tough policy choices like on data and taxation. Official launch of Biden's administration Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. US has ostensibly breathed a sign of relief after months of waiting for administration to deliver a regional economic strategy to accompany its security focus. Some doubts over whether the US administration could sustain its focus in Asia as war broke out in Europe. Besides Ukraine, the IPEF's importance also owes to China's patent economic footprint across Asia. IPEF is not a trade or investment agreement between 13 signatories. It is a framework or a starting point for those Indo-Pacific countries to regulate the trade and commerce across 4 pillars, that is digital economy, supply chains, clean energy, and governance. Globally, IPF signifies first multilateral attempts to boost the supply chain resilience. It is globally the first multilateral attempts to boost the supply chain resilience to ease the global inflationary pressures and mitigate the effect of future disruptions. IPF in a nutshell is internationalizes Biden's economic agenda to protect and prolong the America's economic leadership across Asia while chipping away at China's ascendance through compelling signatories to negotiate domestic standards that comfort Washington's vision. For instance, US preferences to allow free and open data flow under digital economy pillar will constrict India's ability to regulate data for domestic purposes. India's long delayed data protection legislation favors government regulation. Should US officials push for liberal data flow standard, it will create a difficult choices for Indian officials given their inability to settle prevailing data governance quandaries. Nor are Indian officials generally open to syncing their tax policies to mess with the Biden push for global tax standard amongst US partner to mitigate tax avoidance and evasion, despite calls that measures should generate additional financial resources for the developing countries. Next article talks about China wants US on Taiwan, ready to pay any price. China's defense minister complained to his American counterpart on Friday about latest US arms package for Taiwan and warned of a possible conflict over the self-governing island that China claims as own territory. Next article is Australia's baby step towards serving ties with Queen. For decades, many Australians have found it curious that found it a curious thing that country's head of a state is a queen sitting on a distant English throne. Anthony Albanese, the newly elected prime minister, is an avowed Republican. He was appointed the country's first ever minister for Republica. New ministerial position, an assistant minister, is a comparatively minor one. Its role will be limited and at least for a new term, mostly conversation starter and weather vane. The new assistant minister position is a way of testing the waters, he said. He's got 3 years, the time until the next federal election, to see what sort of enthusiasm there could be for such a change. In the economy article, last one is related to use and file new life insurance products sans node. Insurance watchdog IRDAI on Friday extended the use and files procedure for most life insurance products, allowing insurers to launch new products without a regulatory prior approval. The system will allow individual savings, individual pensions and annuity schemes. Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India had earlier extended similar relaxation to health insurance products as well as general insurance covers. Use and file method is expected to help insurers design customized insurance products for embedded insurance space much faster, thereby manufacturing niche products for various customer segments. This means now the life insurance companies can also launch these products without prior approval of IRDAI. Earlier, when the industry was in nascent stage, it was mandatory for insurance company to take prior approval of the IRDAI before launching any life insurance product. However, with the maturity attained by industry, it is envisaged that necessary relaxations may be allowed. According to IRDAI, the relaxation will result in improving the ease of doing business for insurance companies as well as leading to expansion of choices availing to the policy holders. That's all. That's all the article is all about. It's the end of the video. If you like the video, please do share, like, comment and subscribe. Thank you.